Good evening, everyone. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. We're 30,000 feet in the air, and the air hostess gives me a piping hot cup of coffee in my tiny little hands. So back then I was a really good kid, okay, and I didn't even look at the air hostess. So I poured my sugar in, and my mom says to me, Kai Artsu. Kai means hand, and Artsu means mix. So I did just that. I followed my mom's instructions to the T. Little did I know that Kai Artsu is actually a phrase that just means mix it. So I spent the rest of the flight crying with a wet towel wrapped around my finger. Incidents such as this throughout my childhood bore a striking resemblance to Amelia Bedelia. For those of you who don't know, Amelia Bedelia is the main protagonist of a series of children's books who, like me, took all directions at face value. So, I've always been fascinated by that which does not exist. I've always loved the concept of designing, especially things that I love like toys. So, an interesting fact, when I was 8, my email address proudly stated CEO Toy Designer at hotmail.com. So while I was attempting to grow into this email address, I was doing things that all boys do. Going to school, creating a ruckus, picking up a bachelor's degree in business management, and another aspect which I found really fascinating, taking things apart. I'd offer to fix anything in your house that needs fixing. But just a word of advice, never take me up on that offer. Because liken me to Shiva the Destroyer, I take it apart with a feverish vigor. And once that item of interest has been dismantled, it's of no interest to me anymore. That's why my room is filled with 1,000 thingamajigs which are strewn across my room. And that's something that my mother isn't too happy about. I always try to be neat and tidy, but according to my mother's extreme cleanliness standards, by the end of the day, it is quite messy. But instead of explaining to you so much about my family, who you all know so much about, there is something that I probably should mention. They say that if you have too many cooks, it will spoil the broth. But for Toastmasters, that makes for an excellent speech. So, for example, this part of my speech, the organization part, my sister chipped in. The introduction, my dad helped with. And the delivery and conclusion has a strong influence of my mother. I've worked on 3 CCs till now. So through that I've come to understand that my mind is really complex. There's a lot that's going on sometimes, and it so happens that occasionally I get scared by myself, considering how crazy it is in there. A lot of my friends actually don't understand me at all. So sometimes they've actually come up with the name Mr. Random for me. But I think that trait is very important to me because where I'm trying to get into now, this kind of craziness actually happens. I'm planning on getting into copywriting, and I think the way my mind is right now, it's good to have it like that. So to conclude, I'd like to close by sharing with you a poem from one of my favorite authors. His name is Shel Silverstein, and this poem aptly describes what goes on in my mind, titled The Voice. There's a voice inside of you that whispers all day long. I feel that this is right for you. I know that this is wrong. No teacher, preacher, parent, friend, or wise man can tell you, can decide what is right for you. Just listen to that voice that speaks inside. Over to you, Mr. President.